CW.
Hey, Rita Wild.
How are you?
Fine and dandy today, thank you. How are you? Sun's out, shining. The eclipse just happened, and we're not blinded by it yet, right?
And 3 Springsteen shows in a week.
You were busy, girl. You must like that guy.
Angels home opener. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Wow.
So now it's like, Bruce, get out of town. I'm tired. You and your Easter band, you get out.
Tired of paying all that money for your big old tickets.
Yeah.
This is a great show with the one and only, say it.
Rock legend.
George Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyers.
George is celebrating his 50th year in music. In his career, he's released 15 studio albums, toured extensively over the years with bands including Muddy Waters,
Very
ZZ
cool.
Top, John Hammond, the Rolling Stones, Johnny Winter, B.B. King. He played at Live Aid in 1985, and the band will be going out later this year on tour with John Fogerty.
Yep, George has always given praise to some of the music heroes by recording their rare songs and bringing them into the public's eye. Plus, he has written such classic tunes like Bad to the Bone, I Drink Alone, and...
You talk too much. You talk too much.
You talk too much.
No, you talk.
You got to shut
George
up.
talks about his musical influences along with some of his DJ friends from the past years in radio. And this show has a lot of him talking about Jim Ladd, to be very honest.
Yeah, Jim was one of the DJs at the radio station that Rita and I worked at KLOS. And he also worked at KMET for many years. And he had passed away this past December. So we just kind of wanted to give you a reference in case you weren't familiar with who he was. George just he just runs with the conversation. Should we just say that?
And we try and ask him stuff about himself, but then you go, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? He
George is still
about
George, like he's always been. So this is so much fun. Anyway, here we go with our interview with George Thorogood.
Hey!
Is this a famous Rita Wild?
It is.
You know, I always wondered what you looked like.
Oh, I met you
before.
I met you, I think, on your first album down at the Coach House in Samuel Capistrano. I was going up the stairs and you were coming down the stairs and somebody had ripped off your jacket, man. You were pissed. But I think, we did like a big show at Irvine Meadows at the time. And I know stuff we did with Jim Ladd and probably Mark O'Brien too.
Well, you're every bit as good looking as Ladd said you were.
He's a liar. Was a liar.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, he loved you, man. He loved you.
With a name like that, you could only go into rock and roll with a name like that.
Yeah, absolutely. George, it is such a pleasure to speak with you. That's CW West. He's
George.
Promotion directors at KLOS.
And I was at Rockline for about 5 years also, which I know you were on quite a bit with
Bob.
We did that
with Bob Coburn.
Hell yeah, Bob Coburn. You know what I thought was a really touch of class? Jim Ladd, he did this thing down in Hollywood. I don't know whether they gave him some kind of honor, some kind of like a brick or something.
He got a star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, and you were there.
And John Densmore came.
Yeah.
And Jackson Browne came.
Yeah.
And Bob Coburn showed up and supported Jim Ladd. I thought that was really
That was very cool.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He just showed up,
I mean, we had such a great lineup at that time, and I don't know if you heard recently that Gino Michelini passed away. I don't know if you did anything with Gino or not. Never mind.
When I said, that the passing of I won't say the old guard. I was saying when the passing of the guard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not the old guard, the real guard. That I was fortunate enough. I was a little younger than some of those cats. And for Bob Coburn and Jim Ladd, to JJ and all those cats, for all those cats to take me under was quite an exclusive club. You know what I mean? They didn't take just anybody. into their fold, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what you're saying, man.
When I first met Ladd in 1978, I didn't like him. He was really testing me. It was in San Francisco, and he drove all the way up from LA. And I was just a square from Delaware with my corduroy pants and my hush puppies. And he was really testing me, asking me a lot of questions about where I was at, about some standard heavy rock issues that I won't go into, and pushing my buttons, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was new on the scene. Our first record just came out. And as time went on, we got a little closer and closer. Him being a student of the rock revolution of the 60s and a product of the 60s, as I was too, which he didn't, and also a lover and a deep respect of the blues.
Yes.
Which Ladd was. And as that went on, we got closer and closer. And as time went on, after a while, we chuckled when we spoke on the phone. And I'd say, Ladd, you know, I don't really like you, but you're the only person I can talk to. There's nobody. And he said, you know, it's kind of like that with you, George. There's nobody else I can talk to. You know, I would call him up, and I'd call him up, like, say, on Little Richard's birthday. And I'd say, you know why I'm calling? He said, yeah, I know why you're calling. It's Little Richard's birthday. Which Little Richard song do you want me to play? Or I call him up on Keith Richards' birthday or Jerry Lee Lewis's birthday. You know, we always did that. And he'd always chuckle and say, now, which song do you want me to play? You know, all right, it's Brian Jones's birthday. What do you want me to play? See, he had me pegged inside and out.
Yeah.
And this went on for years and years and years. And we really had a lot of fun with that. So we had our own kind of, what do you call it, rapport between us?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had that kind of thing going. And right, it was just like, you know, I had a book, was all about the music of the 60s. I think it was a Time magazine thing. And I wrote a little note inside it. I said, it was all about 1968, the music of 1968. And I wrote a little quote, and I said, Ladd, you're the only one who understand what I'm about to write in here. It said, there were many who watched it, and there were many who listened to it. There were very few who got it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the few. So was I. That's where our friendship was based on. You know, I said, yeah, and you know, and until I ran into Billy F. Gibbons.
Oh, yeah.
And Peter Wolf.
Yeah.
And they just started to evaporate as time went on. You know what I mean? And Ladd was one of those few people of that club. You know, and it was just like the fraternity just kept shrinking and shrinking, you know? And so when Ladd passed, I said, well, who am I going to talk to now? You know, and when my wife passed, I said, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm talking to the walls. So now I talk to my daughter. Her and I talk
beautiful.
About it. She gets it. And she was born in 1998. I don't know how she got it, but she got it.
Genetics.
You know, her idol is Neil Young. Figure that out. You know what I mean? Wow. So I'm very blessed. You know, with that kind of thing. And I didn't shove this music on my daughter. She picked it up herself. You know what I'm saying? She picked it up on her own. So she has her own radio show, you know, on a podcast every Wednesday.
Oh, beautiful.
And the name of the show is Hot Child in the City. And the theme is The Songs That Shaped Me. And she interviews people of all DJs. She interviewed a lady who does album designs from England. So I got somebody, you know.
That's great.
My daughter and I get that. I said, well, I pity my daughter because who does she talk to? She goes out with these boys on dates and she said, I don't want to see that guy again. He doesn't know anything. I'm going to go talk to my dad. But see, you know, going back to Ladd and Coburn and JJ and all those people, you know, I was very, very lucky, very blessed to have those people in my life.
We were all lucky to have those people because, you know what, back then there was the knowledge of music in a DJ. It wasn't just play a disc. It was knowing the background of everything and doing even more studying than we ever did as just fans. And they could talk about everything and they would interview. And I remember when I listened to radio, I loved to hear an interview. You know, don't just play the music, but bring somebody in and talk to them and let's give me more.
See, those people like Jim Ladd and Billy F. Gibbons and Peter Wolf, who's the guitar with the heater, the man with the hot sauce, with but he's got the knees freezing and backbone crack. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I'm with you.
The beauty of Wolf and those cats is they're still fans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're fans first.
Yeah.
I was in Paris, France one time. I was doing an interview. It was about 9 o'clock in the morning, right? 9 o'clock in the morning. Who bursts into the room while I'm doing an interview? It's Peter Wolf, the guitar with the heater. You know what I'm saying? He bursts into the room and he says to me, he goes, hey, you know that record, John Lee Hooker in Detroit? Those backup singers are Martha and the Van Tellers. Bye.
Whoa. Love it. Now George,
You know what
I know what you're
Not
saying.
people like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I've got to, thank you for turning me on to a lot of blues greats. I mean, because there weren't a lot of people. I mean, Led Zeppelin did blues, but they took credit for it for a lot of those songs. But you were authentic. I mean, you turned us on to some great stars and gave them the notoriety that they deserved.
No, I was trying to give them the money they deserved.
Yeah, that's true
How
too.
about that? How about
That's true too. Yeah, that's true.
But you also kept the fire going. You took songs that we probably will never hear of if it wasn't for you bringing them into the limelight and then adding your own touch to each song, which that's what I find so brilliant. You're like an archivist that's brought all this stuff that was done in the 50s and probably early 60s, and you've brought it to the limelight and made it popular again, which I think is absolutely fantastic because otherwise we wouldn't know about it.
Well, Jim Ladd had something pegged. What he understood about me was I try to, when people would come up and say, well, how come you only do covers? You do covers. I said, I don't do covers. I do obscure songs. Linda Rodstedt and Joe Cocker, who are brilliant artists, they do covers. I do obscure songs. I mean, I did songs by people, and they didn't even know they did the songs. I would do songs by Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and John Lee Hooker, and they didn't even know they did them. See, that's what I was trying to do. I wanted to be the Indiana Jones of rock and roll. I wanted to dig up these songs that nobody knew of, and I wanted people to know of. That's what those first two albums were about when I did them. That was my project, to take these songs that nobody knew, and I wanted to turn the world on to those tunes. And that's all we were about in those first two records. And that's a lot of cats didn't understand that, but Ladd did. He got that. So did Peter Wolf.
Yeah.
They were all behind me on that, you see, because actually a lot of those records on the first couple of Stones records, I never heard a lot of those songs. You know, and John Hammond too.
Yeah.
They turned me on to tunes that I would never have known about. So that's what I wanted to do. And there were very few left. There were obscure songs, and that's what I wanted to do, you see. And like I said, there was a lot of people I came and said, how about this tune? Thanks for turning me on to, you recorded that song. They go, I did? Yeah, man. And I didn't give them the date they did it.
Wow. Give it 30 years, George. You'll be saying I did also.
Well,
but you've also,
I mean, the project's complete, Yeah.
You've also written, I mean, many of your own great songs, Out of the Bone, I Drink Alone, You Talk Too Much. Yeah, I remember playing those in KLOS all the time.
Get a haircut.
Get a job.
Well, that's another thing that we wanted to do is we wanted, if I put original together, I wanted it to have an air of familiarity. I wanted it to sound not unlike the people I learned from. A guy did a review of a song I wrote called Long Gone. And he tried to say something derogatory about that song. And he said, he couldn't have given me a bigger compliment. He said, this song that Thorogood wrote, he said, it sounds like the B-side of a Chuck Berry single. Now, what could be better than that? You just gave me the biggest compliment you could possibly give me. Yeah. And you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Talk about a left-handed compliment. Yeah. That's it. And another thing Ladd said to me once when I just started to get some originals together, and I said, I know they sound so similar to other people's stuff. And he said something very nice. He said, tip of the hat. That was nice.
But you made them your own too. I mean, people thought that, like one bourbon, one scotch, one beer. I
wanted those originals to sound like John Lee Hooker. I wanted them to sound like those kind of people because I wanted them to hear that that similarity to it. Like, I've heard that somewhere. I've heard that somewhere, I said, you're damn right you've heard it somewhere. That's the whole idea. Don't you get it?
George, where did you hear those songs?
Yeah.
Well, I researched them, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I went and bought every record that Elmore James or Homesick James or, all those cats did. I went and got every record. There was a place in Wilmington, Delaware. It was called Bailey's. It was a husband and wife place. And I would go buy records, and sometimes I hadn't seen him for a month, and I'd walk into the store and they'd say, "Oh, there's that young man." They said, we got a couple of Jimmy Reed records for you under the counter. We saved for you, because they knew what I was after. You know what I'm saying? There was all these, we got this old Bo Diddley record for you. And there was this place in Philadelphia that sold these vintage records that had never been played, and they sold them for 99 cents. Bo Diddley records and Chuck Berry records.
Wow.
That we would go up there and buy them by the handfuls. And there might be a record, it might be one song on it that was really good. You know what I mean? And we would learn that song, an unknown Chuck Berry song or an unknown Bo Diddley song. So I was researching these things over and over and over and over. I look at it, I go, no, the Rolling Stones already did that song. No, the Yardbirds already did that song. So I wanted to pick out songs that were my songs that I was doing, that I wanted to do. An obscure song. So when people listen to it, say, I've never heard that song before. Some of those tunes, like I did a song, I'll Change My Style, but Jimmy blew John Hammond's mind, and it blew Elvin Bishop's mind, because they had never heard it. I said, well, that's the idea. I don't want to do the same songs John Hammond did. I don't want to do the same songs the Butterfield Band did. I want to have my own repertoire. You know what I'm saying? I want to have my own thing here to do, so I can stand out. And that took a lot of work, a lot of time to find those tunes, those gems,
Yeah.
and to do that. And that's what got Ladd's attention, because he had heard everything. And I mean, everything. Where did this song come from? And where did this guy come from? And where the hell is Delaware?
Yeah.
I was as obscure as the songs I was playing,
Did you change the lyrics, George, to one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer? Or was that Bo Diddley? I mean,
No,
John Lee Hooker.
I didn't change them. I stole them. Every one of them.
But I mean, originally it was one scotch, one bourbon, one beer.
Not when Hooker did it. I thought it was one bourbon, one scotch, and that's the way Hooker did it. So I didn't know. That was the only version I ever heard.
I think Amos Milburn, wasn't he?
To this day, I've never heard that version.
I found that version, and it's one scotch, one bourbon, one beer.
That's what I've been told, but I've never heard that version of it.
Okay.
I've been too busy doing interviews, Barbara Waters, Walter Cronkite. You know how it is. I'm busy, right?
Big old rock star, man.
You got a job to do.
Yeah.
And you got the haircut for it too. Get a job, get a haircut.
Someday I'll get around to listening to that.
Okay.
Why rush it, right?
You got
Absolutely.
Time?
Keep a little mystery in life, huh?
Where are you going? Anywhere? Just tours?
50th anniversary tour. Hey, is it true that before your first live gig, you didn't have an electric guitar? You were doing everything on acoustic
I
guitar?
had one years before it. I think I sold it, or I was playing a solo act, trying to be the next John Hammond and failing miserably at it. I'm no Taj Mahal, believe me. So once I picked that electric guitar, I said, man, I'm home. But I didn't have one. And Jeff Simon booked this gig for us. And I said, I don't even have an electric guitar. We didn't even have a name. And I didn't have an electric guitar. He said, well, then get one. I went down to the Hawk Shop. I had $200 in my name, bought this guitar. He got this gig at the University of Delaware, so we did it. And the response was unbelievable. Everybody dug us. And I said, man, baby, I'm home. This is for me. I plugged in that guitar and we just ripped the place apart. I said, man, this is what I should be doing right here. How hard it is to pull down a solo act alone. You know how hard that is? Forget it. You got to be a monster to do that. It's only one John Hammond, one Taj Mahal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I ain't it, believe me.
Hey, but you're pretty damn good, man. Really.
I can make a living. Let's put it that way.
Well, you've done great as a living. I mean, it's like you go to a Thorogood show and you feel good. No matter how shitty your day's been, you go to a Thorogood show, you're feeling good afterwards during it.
The idea, isn't it? You don't want people to walk out and say, gee, I feel shitty. That really made me feel lousy.
That's great stuff.
Oh my God. How supportive were your parents, George, in getting into music?
At first, they were behind me all the way. All the way. I did a gig and I played at my sister's birthday party. They were twins. And we had this little band. We played at my sister's birthday party. And a couple of days later, I heard them talking, and they were standing there talking about, well, we should get him these kind of, they're right in front of me. They're saying, we should get him these kind of shirts. That would look good for performing. And blah, blah, blah. They should get blue shirts that'll match his eyes and all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking, who are they talking about? And they were talking about me. I mean, I couldn't sing a lick. I couldn't play an instrument, but they knew I had it to do it. And they were behind me all the way. So I was in several bands, and they wanted me to do this. And a lot of people in the neighborhood were saying, you mean you want your son to actually be in a rock band?
Yeah.
And my mother would say, well, at least we know where he is.
I love it.
So as time went by, I kind of fell out of the music thing. I was just kind of bumming around for a couple of years, not doing anything, sleeping on in the basement. My parents came to me and they said, look, you can't live here forever.
We've all heard that.
Yeah. And my father said, look, you dress like a rock star. You sleep all day like a rock star. You think you're a rock star. When are you going to go out and be a rock star? And then my mother, because George, you know you can't work.
I mean, can you imagine?
Right.
Can you imagine Keith Richards doing anything else?
Exactly. That was my parents. So as far as being behind me, they were said, kid, you got no choice.
That's awesome.
This is it for you.
That's awesome. You've been with Jeff Simon like pretty much all your life. And I didn't know that you two were semi-pro baseball players also.
Yeah, we played a little ball. Jeff and I did. Yeah. Very little.
A little.
What'd you play?
Very little. Well, there was a year this bootleg record came out on MCA, and we didn't want to support it. So we took the summer off and to let that record run its course. And it was interfering with the records we did with Rounder. So we didn't want to back that. So we just took a couple of summers off and played a little baseball, very little. And my career as a ball player was very limited. There were three things kept me out of the big leagues, kids. I couldn't hit, run, or throw.
Otherwise, A+. Yes.
Kind of like your team nowadays, huh?
I talked a good game and I looked good in a uniform. That was about it.
Are you still a Mets fan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Always pick a loser, Rita. You always get a good seat at the park.
That's true. I'm an Angel fan, so I know this.
With the Mets, you can't go wrong because if they finish last, it's expected. If they finish third, they had a good year.
That's great stuff. That's great. How did you become a Mets fan? Because you're from Delaware. You could have chosen Philly or Baltimore.
Because most people in the world are not great. You can relate to the Mets. The Mets are the everyday guy, and that's me. Not everybody can be Joe DiMaggio. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can be Sandy Koufax. Anybody could be a Met. That was me as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I could relate to that.
How did you feel in '86? Because I was so glad the Mets beat the Red Sox because I was an Angel fan. Was that game we were ahead, and then I forget who it was that hit the 2-run home run, and we lost.
I'm going to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
Someone came to me once and said, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, "There's 3 times I believe in God. Every time I look at my daughter, every time I ride on an airplane, and when the ball went through Buckner's legs."
Yeah. Thank you for that, man. I appreciated that. That was a redemption. So what do you got planned in the summer? You're just going to be touring all over the place?
What do you mean just?
Well, I know. Well, you did. You have an interesting association.
It's like a given.
No, it's a lot of work. But I mean, you've got something with 50 because a couple of years ago you did the 50-50 tour. I don't know how you did that. 50 states. 50
well, let's just
days.
thank goodness it wasn't 200 states.
or trying it now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And you just, I think, announced today you're going to be touring with John Fogerty.
Yeah, we're doing some shows with John. That's going to be great.
Oh my God, that's great.
I mean, if someone had told me we were starting out, someday you're going to be, if someone had told me I was going to be friends with John Fogerty, that would have blown me away in itself. But to say I'm going to tour with John Fogerty, I said, you're out of your mind. You know, I said, John Fogerty is like a Laurence Olivier. I'm the Three Stooges. You know, I said, you're just crazy. No way. And just say, I said that when we were with Steve Miller. I said, I'm elbowing with the immortals here, Rita. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
a couple of guys from Delaware. You kidding?
Yeah. You played with the Rolling Stones. I mean, what was that infamous show? Was it at the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum you did with the Rolling Stones? My God, what did you think? Did you pinch yourself saying, this is actually happening? I'm playing with the Rolling Stones?
I'm still pinching myself every day. Come on, Rita. Come on, think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Blessed and grateful.
You don't take things like that for granted.
Yeah.
I remember this is such an American thing. And I said, what do you think? You're playing with the Rolling Stones in a Jay Giles band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said, yeah. And one of them said, well, yeah, but you're the opening band. And I said, that's like saying you're batting eighth in the All-Star game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
So true. So true. I know our time is limited with you. So what was the first concert you went to?
If you can believe this, it was my mother yanked me out of high school, or maybe it was early in high school, I think, to go see Chuck Berry.
Wow. Oh my God.
My parents ruined me from day one. The first movie I ever saw in a movie theater, my father took me to see was King Kong. King Kong. And my mother took me to see Chuck Berry. And that's why I'm so screwed up today. I saw the best from day one.
Absolutely.
So it's their fault. I'm the nut that I am today. How do you like that?
I like that.
George, what is your craziest Spinal Tap moment?
I'll tell you, what my craziest Spinal Tap moment is? I'll tell you.
Not yet.
We were in Sydney, Australia, and we were going to Newcastle, and we made the mistake of watching the movie Spinal Tap on the way to the gig in Newcastle. Watching the movie, and it took about 2 hours to get to the gig. We watched the movie, we got out of the bus and went to the gig, and everything wrong that happened in the movie Spinal Tap happened to us that night at the gig.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? You don't remember when they couldn't find the stage?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you musicians, ain't you? Well, it's a little jog, you go left, then you go right. You know what I'm saying? Remember that part?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And everything went wrong. The biggest mistake we could ever make.
So you got jinxed
that night.
Wow.
The bread was all wrong. I said, I want bread. I want a little bread. I want real bread. I'm telling you. We couldn't believe it. We said, never again will we watch that movie. That was our craziest Spinal Tap moment. The best thing we could ever do happened to us.
I love it.
Love it. So you don't have any new material that you're playing on this tour, do you? Right? Or anything that you're working on?
Always working on something.
Like what?
Well, we got a couple of things we're working on. We got a song called A Day in a Life. We got a song called Jumpin' Jack Flash. We're working on a couple of things, Maggie May, and some interesting titles, but we're still working on the music.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
We get the title down first, and the musical work will take care of itself.
You better get the rights to that really quick.
Yeah, well, we're taking
before somebody steals those
too.
Songs from you.
Yeah, we're working on that too.
Yeah. Well, George, I know you got a show locally, I think in Temecula. I know you're playing Scottsdale as part of the 50th anniversary tour, and you're going to be playing with John Fogerty, like you just mentioned. And so what LA dates will be around that you know of, or you can say?
We're doing something in San Diego. I know we're doing something there. and they're working on a couple other things. I think they're working on the Belly Up Club.
Oh, wow.
The new one.
God, that's little.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We did it once, and they're hammering pretty hard to get a couple of more dates there. So they're still working on that. So
Good.
that's I'm sure that's going to happen. We're working on 3 dates, and our management would like to do 2, and they're working on 3. I said, I don't like to stay in one place for more than one day. I like to keep moving before they catch on to me.
They find the real George.
You know what I'm saying? Get out of town fast.
So is it true that you're of Scandinavian descent?
Yeah, well, our name is actually. My background is British, but our name Thor is supposedly from the god of Thor, Thorogood. Supposedly that's where it came from, but the British spelling is Ough, but it was my grandparents changed it back to the original Scandinavian spelling. Thorogood,
cool.
Pronounced that way.
Supposedly
from the god of Thor.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
Well, you got to call it something.
George, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. I know you got things to do, and thank you for taking the extra time to speak with us.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how much we appreciate you and your music and have for, all this time. It's meant so much to us personally. So thank you.
As the LA Cowboy and I used to say, rock and roll never sleeps. It just passes out.
Yeah. Well,
well said.
Thank you for all your tributes.
Our pleasure, believe me.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Well. How cool was that, right?
This is very cool. It's so very cool.
I love him. He's so fun. And you know what? The shows are so great. And I saw his tour schedule, and I know he mentioned the Belly Up Club in San Diego. I didn't see that on there yet. So I would say keep checking his website if you're interested in the San Diego show. I know there is one show. I'm not sure if there's more being added, so he thought there was. Anyway, yeah, baby, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we got the big tour coming up with John Fogerty, and we're sure he'll be around here somewhere. I know that they've actually today just added more dates to that, so that'll be good. Our special thank you very much to Suzanne Cooper. Also, special thanks to the lovely Lisa Sexton and the always intriguing Jay Zudan for helping us coordinate the interview.
Thanks, everybody, so much. You know what? Suzanne was really great, and I have to just put a kudos out there because we actually called her or contacted her over a year ago about talking to George, and she said no, not at this time. I kind of thought, well, we're just probably getting blown off, but you know what? Come January 1st, she contacted us and said, yeah, we want to do this. It's really great. So thank you, Suzanne, for following through. I really appreciate that.
George's tour begins in a couple of weeks. Check out all the tour dates at georgethorogood.com.
And follow George on social media. Facebook is George Thorogood. Instagram is George Thorogood Official. And Twitter, or X, is Thorogood Music.
Why don't they call it Twixter?
Because then everyone will want a bite and will want to split it.
Okay.
And you get one and you get one.
Check out our show notes on the website, rockandrollconfessional.rocks, ROCKS. There you can find links to some of the subjects talked about in today's show, including links for tour information and so forth. Also, a video of George playing with his daughter, Rio. Jim Ladd talking about George's solo album and some great classic George Thorogood and Destroyers videos.
Yeah, thank you all for your support. We really appreciate it. I know we've gotten contacted by some new listeners, and we really appreciate that. Please rate us, spread the word where you can by sharing the podcast with your friends, and also subscribe so as soon as the next episode comes out, you receive it. And don't forget, write a review, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc.
CW does all this extra special work with the website and sending out like daily tidbits and stuff, and he does a great job with it. And I appreciate him and thank him for being who he is.
Thank you for being my friend.
Okay.
That's why I don't sing. That's why I don't have a music career. Not singing, at least, or playing an instrument. That's it.
All right,
All right,
have
everybody.
A wonderful week.
Take care. Bye.
See you. Bye.